All right, this is my second attempt at this video because I found myself rambling on my first attempt. But I was in Ohio last week for uh, Thanksgiving with the girls, and it was a really stressful trip. But I still found myself finding that when I'm away from home, I tend to receive better clarity on things that I've been processing. Being in a change of environment than I am able to find when I'm at home. Even though I'm able to take time for myself and sit outside and do all that, just this shift in scenery and being around different people and having a different routine provides clarity to me. And that has been something that I've noticed over the last several years as I've been on my healing journey. But while I was there, I had a chance to sit down with my old babysitter, who's my aunt's husband's sister. So I've known her most of my life, and she's a few years older than me, but we don't really get to talk much. We went through a similar phase of life recently. She was a few years before me, and anyway, she's a few years older than me, but I was a little shit to her. When I was a kid, I was a brat, and I'd dress up in my karate outfit and tell her I was going to kick her butt, and I gave her a hard time all the time. But um, she she sat down with me at Thanksgiving dinner, and she was just like, I am so proud of you. And I love what you're posting on Facebook, and I love what you're sharing with the world. And I was honest with her, and keep in mind, we don't talk a lot. And even when we see each other, we don't really ever have the opportunity to just sit down and chat for a few minutes. And I don't think that she would mind me sharing this, and she may even be watching, but I think we've both had the mutual sense over the last few years, just based on like stuff on Facebook and Instagram posts and mutual hashtags that we follow and stuff like that, that we're really similar, a lot more similar than maybe we had ever thought that we were. And so she sat down with me, and she was like, she said several times, I'm really excited about what's coming for you. And I was like, could you let me in on what that is? Because I'm still trying to figure that out. But she was like, I love what you're sharing. And I told her, in full transparency, I always wonder if I'm saying enough or doing enough. And I'm such a giver, and I have so much love to give. And I feel like I come up against a lot of roadblocks, and it's really hard. A lot of the lessons that I've learned this year, which I know I mentioned I'd make a video about soon, have been some of the hardest lessons of my life. And I'll probably get emotional about it. I've had to make peace with a lot of things that I don't wanted to make peace with. It involves a lot of letting go, a lot of humility, a lot of acceptance and surrender. And I'm the kind of person who needs answers and needs direction and needs to be able to anticipate what's next. And this year has been all about accepting, well, realizing and coming into full acceptance that I can't have any of that. It's really hard. And most of us can't. And anyway, I've been in a really hard spot lately. With just the things that I've been going over in my mind, and just things I'm dealing with. And so she said, I'm loving what you're putting out into the world and it's really needed. And don't worry about if you're rambling or, if you're oversharing or undersharing. Like just speak what you need to speak and it's going to reach the people that it needs to reach. And you just have to trust that. And so, I always make a big deal about the fact that I'm vulnerable and transparent because I think that it is valuable in a world that has been so conditioned to not be those things. And it's what I value in other people is honesty and transparency and authenticity and emotionalness and showing emotions. And to hear her say that was very validating for me, and it felt really like a strong person standing behind me, cheering me on, and telling me that, you know, to anybody who doesn't appreciate what I have to offer, F you. I mean, that's not how I treat people, but, it doesn't matter that it's going to reach the right ones. So, having that conversation with her and also, just hearing somebody's proud of me. It's not that I don't hear it, but from people you don't necessarily expect to hear it from, it always means a little bit more, I think. And, I said to her, like, I know what you've been through. You know what I've been through. Not the full extent, because nobody will ever be there to fully feel the pain that you feel as you're going through a healing journey. But I said, one of the things I struggle with is like, why did I have to go first? Like, there was no textbook on how to do this. There were very few people who were there, like, I know what you're going through and I've got your back. Like, one, maybe. That's my mom. um, and I remember Julie checking in on me, every once in a while as I went through my divorce. And she understood what that was like. But like, we were the front runners of our generation. And I told her, I said, I'm seeing a lot of people go through this right now. And she was like, me too. I have people coming out of the woodwork contacting me like, how did you navigate this? How did this feel? How are you doing now? Like, what happens when XYZ and all of these things? And I'm starting to see that in my own life too. And like, part of me is really grateful to be able to say, like, I've been through this and I kind of have a feel for what worked for me, what didn't, but, healing is a very lonely journey. And even when you have people standing behind you, cheering you on, it's very lonely because nobody can possibly understand the full extent to what you're feeling inside or what you're dealing with. Nobody else's experience is exactly the same. And so, as much as like you have your tribe, it's so devastatingly lonely. And I still find myself at times feeling like, nope, I can't talk about this. What I'm struggling with, nobody understands. Like, I had a 3-hour breakdown on Thanksgiving Day this year. And like, people don't admit that, but holidays can be very triggering for people, especially when you come to realize that a lot of your last family gathering, last time you see so and so, last really good holiday meal that you had in an environment that felt very nourishing to you, that was your last and you didn't know it at the time. And I think that this is why it's so important that we try to enjoy every moment that we can. And it's a huge feat and it's a lot to ask, but if we're not enjoying every moment or we're not enjoying a large percentage of our life, like, we really have to ask ourselves why. Like, what needs to change in order to do that? Do I need to change jobs? Do I need to change the people that I hang around with? Do I need to renegotiate some of the relationships in my life or set better boundaries? Or what feels good to me? Because that's a lot of life to waste, you know, not feeling good about it. And so anyway, having this conversation with her, like we were totally on the same page about how um I think what we both were like, yes, I get you, is that in the beginning of a healing journey, it is so messy and it is so chaotic and it feels like it's never going to end. And it's so bad. It's so hard. And, you know, I said to her, I still find myself sometimes feeling like it's so hard, or even getting upset over the remembrance of how hard it was. And she said, yeah, but you know what? I would do it all over again. And I said, I absolutely would too. And you couldn't have paid me enough money to convince me at that time that it would be worth it. And so I guess what I want to pass on today is that evolving through the pain and the processing of trauma that is required in order to get to a better place and better self-awareness, when you're in the midst of those initial stages, it's absolute hell. And you would do anything to get out. This is the stage where a lot of people start feeling suicidal because it feels like it's endless pain, endless chaos. And we both agreed if anyone had told us at that time that it would get better, we would have said, no, it will never get better. Nobody understands this. But time and time and time again, and the people we know who have gone through this, and the two of us who have gone through it, all recognize at a later time that it is worth it and that it does get better. And it's not to say that it's perfect or that things magically disappear or resolve, but there will come a time where it won't feel like life is just so hard. But those initial stages of confronting all the demons and the pain of, you know, recognizing that you didn't receive what you needed as a child or in any part of your life, and the pain of recognizing all the conditioning that we operate under, that the voice inside of our head isn't even necessarily our own. Coming to terms with that, identifying that, becoming self-aware of your triggers, like, I'm really upset about XYZ. Is this actually about that person, or is it about something that happened in my past and made me feel a certain way? And it's just triggering that memory of feeling like I don't matter or nobody loves me or whatever the case may be. That self-awareness is crucial, but you can only get there through the mud and the muck and the mire and the hell fire of those initial stages. So, you know, she looked at me and she said, I'm so proud of you. And I just can't wait to see what's coming for you. And I'm so excited for you. And then she texted me later and told me the same thing. And I'm like, did you read your tarot cards? Like, could you tell me what's coming? I mean, I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. But sitting with the uncertainty is deeply uncomfortable for me. And that has been something that has really been gnawing at me lately. And yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate that. And I'm trying to honestly make decisions about my own life. Like, what are things that I've done wrong? What are things that I'm still doing wrong? Where can I improve? Where can I set better boundaries? How can I take a look at the things that still trigger me and decide how to handle those? I mean, I really feel, and having this conversation with her on Thanksgiving, like, was very validating for the fact that I think collectively we are all at such a crossroads right now. We are very much staring into the fork in the road of I have to make a decision. Am I going to continue living as I've been living? Am I okay doing that? Because if I make that decision to stay that way, it's going to stay that way. Or am I going to decide enough is enough? I can't keep doing this. I don't know what the other path looks like, but it's got to be better than this one. And navigating that, making those decisions, and moving through the fear of the unknown in the midst of acknowledging that where we currently are isn't working. What do I do? I think feels very ungrounding right now to a lot of us. I think we're all kind of in some sort of chaotic, I don't know what to do, I need to figure this out, I can't live like this anymore energy. So if that's you, you're not alone. We're all at different stages, as I always say. Some are at the beginning, some are at the middle, some have mastered this, though very few, I think, have mastered it. And we're all just figuring it out, and being there for one another is really powerful. I think just to know you're not alone, and there are people who have gone before. But yeah, I am excited for what's to come, because I think only good can come out of healing. But the in-between of the discomfort of just not knowing, I think for me, that's what's most disorienting. And having to make some big decisions, you know? Yeah, it's a lot. So I just want to tell everybody, people see you, people see what you're up to, people appreciate your efforts, even if it's rarely spoken. And I was witness to that this week when, I had that conversation, and I wasn't expecting to find that kind of resonance, like somebody truly gets me and what I've been through. And spiritual awakening and healing journey is really hard work. But know that if you're going through it, that you're meant to go through it. There's good on the other side of it. You are being held and looked after, even when it feels like you're alone. And anything and everything that's coming up is perfectly normal. So as always, I'm here for everybody, and feel free to reach out anytime asking me about my journey, discussing your own. I love to hear people's stories, and we all have a story, and they're all powerful in their own way. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share. I will post a video soon about some of the things I've learned this year. This was a hard year. It was harder than I went into it expecting it to be. There was a lot that came up for resolution, like, hey, Selena, you thought you dealt with this. Have you really? And a lot of the times the answer was, yes, I have, but this is another layer of that same trigger. And am I going to choose, again, it's that fork in the road. Am I going to choose to continue shoving this under the rug and pretending like it doesn't exist and that I'm okay? Am I going to spiritually bypass, is a buzzword, by, acting like, well, it's not that big of a deal, everything's fine, nothing's real to begin with, we're all eternal beings and whatever, which I have done? Or am I going to sit here and get really fucking honest with myself and be like, oh, I still have that pattern, I still default to this way of thinking or this way of processing or relating, or my ego is on fire to want to be angry about this, and I don't want that anymore, right? So yeah, there's a lot going on here too. I've made a lot of progress, but there are still things I'm noticing, and I'm on my own journey, but I have capacity to be there for other people, and it's my great honor and joy for those who allow me to do so. And so I just want to leave you, if you've made it this far, thank you, Jesus. Pray, like, God bless you. um, in life and in this video, but I meant in this video. And just know you're not alone. And it does get better and it will be okay. You just got to walk through the fire to get to the other side. And there are millions of us who have already done it, and we know that it's worth it. So keep going. You're loved, you're seen, and you're doing great. All right. Bye. My video's not